First contact and invasion. The skies darkened over every major city on Earth as the Veridan ships entered orbit. They appeared without warning, massive obsidian structures that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. For 3 days, they remained silent, motionless, as governments scrambled and civilians panicked. Militaries worldwide went on high alert, but there was an unspoken understanding among world leaders. Whatever technology had brought these visitors across the stars, Earth's weapons would be virtually useless against them. On the 4th day, they spoke. Captain Maya Rodriguez stood in the United Nations Emergency Command Center, surrounded by military officials and government representatives from across the globe. At 35, she had risen through the ranks of the newly formed Earth Defense Force with remarkable speed, earning respect for her tactical brilliance and unorthodox thinking. Now, as the enormous screen before them flickered to life, she felt the weight of billions of lives on her shoulders. The alien that appeared on screen was tall and spindly, with iridescent blue-green skin that seemed to shimmer with its own internal light. 4 arms extended from a slender torso, and its face featured 6 eyes arranged in a hexagonal pattern around what appeared to be a mouth, though it remained closed as the alien communicated. People of Earth, the translation software rendered in a neutral tone that couldn't mask the condescension in the alien's posture. I am Supreme Commander Zex Terrell of the Veridan Dominion. We have observed your species for some time and have determined you are suitable for integration into our resource networks. Maya's jaw tightened. Resource networks. Not allies, not partners, resources. Your biological and neurological structures are primitive but adaptable, Zex Terrell continued. This makes your species ideal for labor optimization. Resistance is inadvisable. Your weapons cannot penetrate our shields, and your computational systems are laughably inefficient compared to our neural networks. The alien paused, its 6 eyes blinking in an unsettling pattern. We will begin harvesting population centers in 48 of your Earth hours. Those who submit willingly will be treated with reasonable care. Those who resist will be processed without such considerations. We recommend compliance. The screen went dark. The room erupted into chaos, shouting, accusations, desperate proposals. Maya remained silent, her mind racing through possibilities. She had studied theoretical alien encounter scenarios for years, but none had prepared her for this level of technological disparity. Captain Rodriguez, the UN Secretary-General's voice cut through the noise. The Defense Force was created for precisely this scenario. What are our options? All eyes turned to Maya. She straightened her shoulders, her dark eyes scanning the room before responding. We need more information before we can formulate an effective response. We know nothing about their actual capabilities beyond their claims. I recommend deploying reconnaissance drones to gather intelligence on their ship structures and energy signatures. Within hours, stealth drones were launched toward the alien vessels. Most were destroyed instantly upon approaching the ships, but a few managed to transmit partial data before being neutralized. The information painted a grim picture. The Veridan vessels possessed energy fields unlike anything human science had encountered, and their weapons systems could track and destroy objects moving at speeds that should have made them undetectable. When the 48-hour deadline approached, humanity made its first stand. A coordinated attack of nuclear missiles, railguns, and experimental energy weapons was launched against the smallest Veridan ship. The resulting light show was spectacular and utterly ineffective. The alien shields absorbed or deflected everything Earth threw at them. Then the harvest began. Cylindrical vessels descended from the main ships, targeting major cities across the globe. They emitted fields that immobilized humans within their radius, allowing smaller collection units to gather paralyzed civilians like farmers collecting crops. Military resistance was met with precise energy blasts that vaporized soldiers and equipment with equal ease. Maya watched the footage from the EDS Underground Command Center in the Rocky Mountains, one of the few facilities designed to withstand extraterrestrial attack. Her team of specialists worked frantically around her, attempting to find any pattern or weakness in the alien technology. "Captain," Lieutenant Chen called from his station, "I'm detecting something unusual in the Veridan communication patterns." Maya moved quickly to his side. Chen was their systems specialist, recruited from a top quantum computing lab. Every time their collection ships encounter unexpected resistance or behavior, there's a spike in data transmission to the main fleet, Chen explained, pointing to the waveform analysis on his screen. "It's almost like they're consulting their central intelligence before adapting." "A neural network," Maya murmured, her mind racing. "They said they used neural networks. What if their ships aren't just controlled by AI, but are actually part of a distributed consciousness?" She turned to address the room. "The Veridan claimed our computational systems are inefficient compared to their neural networks. But neural networks have inherent vulnerabilities. They can be overwhelmed by unexpected input patterns or confused by contradictory data." For the first time since the invasion began, a hint of hope flickered in Maya's eyes. Humans are unpredictable. We're emotional, irrational, creative in ways that highly ordered systems often fail to anticipate. If the Veridan rely on predictive algorithms to anticipate our responses, perhaps our greatest weakness in their eyes, our chaotic nature, might actually be our greatest strength. Over the next 24 hours, as the alien harvesting continued around the globe, Maya's team developed what they called Operation Chaos. It was a desperate plan, relying on humanity's capacity for seemingly irrational behavior to confuse and potentially disrupt the alien neural systems. The first test came in Mumbai, where resistance fighters implemented Maya's protocol. Rather than attacking with conventional weapons, they employed bizarre, unpredictable tactics. Sound systems blasted frequencies that shifted randomly. Light arrays flashed in patterns designed specifically to have no pattern. And most importantly, human movements and attacks followed no discernible strategy, shifting from aggressive to passive, from concentrated to dispersed, with no logical progression. The results were immediate and startling. The Veridan collection ships hesitated, their movements becoming jerky and uncoordinated. For brief periods, their immobilization fields fluctuated, allowing humans to escape. "It's working," Maya breathed as she watched the footage. Their systems are designed for optimal efficiency, which means they expect logical responses. When faced with illogical input, they're struggling to process. Dr. Eliza Santos, the team's xenobiologist, nodded thoughtfully. "If their neural networks are truly distributed across their fleet, this confusion could potentially spread. But they'll adapt quickly." "Then we need to escalate," Maya replied, her voice hardening with determination. "We need to target the command ship directly." As Earth's remaining military forces implemented variations of Operation Chaos globally, buying precious time, Maya assembled a small strike team for a mission that bordered on suicidal. Boarding the Veridan command ship, using a captured collection vessel, and the disruption techniques that had proven effective, they would attempt to penetrate the heart of the alien fleet. As Maya briefed her team of 12 volunteers, she ended with words that would later be enshrined in human history. "The Veridan mock our frailty because they see only our physical limitations. They don't understand that human strength has never been measured by our muscles or our machines, but by our minds and our will. Today, we show them the power of human adaptability and the price of underestimating us." The counterattack. The captured Veridan collection vessel rose through the atmosphere, its systems modified by Earth's best engineers to emit signals that identified it as returning from a successful harvest. Inside, Maya and her team of 11 specialists prepared for what would likely be a one-way mission. Approaching the command ship, Lieutenant Chen reported from the modified control interface. "Their automated systems are acknowledging our approach signal, but there's increased communication activity. They may be suspicious." Maya nodded grimly. "Implement Phase 1 of Operation Chaos." Chen activated the disruption algorithms they'd developed, communication signals that mimicked Veridan protocols, but contained subtly contradictory information, creating minor but cumulative errors in the alien neural network. It wasn't enough to alert the Veridan to an attack, but enough to create small processing delays and confusion. The massive command ship loomed ahead of them, its obsidian surface occasionally rippling with energy discharges that resembled lightning beneath black water. As their vessel approached a docking bay, Maya studied the alien structure with a mixture of awe and determination. "Remember," she addressed her team, "once inside, we'll have approximately 20 minutes before their systems fully process the anomalies in our vessel. We need to reach their central processing node within that window." The team consisted of combat specialists, engineers, and two xenolinguists who had been studying Veridan communication patterns. Each carried equipment designed specifically for their mission, not just weapons, but devices that could generate the chaotic patterns that seemed to disrupt Veridan systems. Their vessel docked with surprising ease, evidence that the confusion algorithms were working. As they prepared to disembark, Dr. Santos made a final adjustment to the neural disruptors each team member carried. "These should buy us time if we encounter Veridan directly," she explained. "They generate randomized sensory input that should temporarily disorient their neural processing." The team moved through the alien vessel cautiously. The interior was unlike anything they had expected. Organic-looking corridors that pulsed with bioluminescent light, surfaces that seemed to react to their presence. They encountered few Veridan, suggesting that the massive ships were largely automated or, more likely, controlled directly through their neural network. When they did encounter alien crew members, the neural disruptors proved effective, causing the Veridan to freeze in apparent confusion, their 6 eyes blinking rapidly as they struggled to process the contradictory sensory information. Following the energy signatures that Chen's equipment detected, they made their way deeper into the ship. Time was running short. They had been aboard for 15 minutes when alarms began to sound, a pulsing vibration that resonated through the ship's structure. "They've identified the intrusion," Maya said. "Double time to the objective." They raced through the corridors, no longer concerned with stealth. 2 team members fell to Veridan energy weapons before they reached a massive chamber at what appeared to be the center of the ship. Inside, suspended in a transparent column, was a structure that resembled a brain. If a brain were made of crystalline material that shifted and flowed like liquid, the physical neural network node, Dr. Santos breathed. "It's beautiful." "And vulnerable," Maya added, signaling her engineers forward. They began attaching their disruption devices to key points around the chamber, working with practiced efficiency despite the alien environment. Before they could complete their work, a voice echoed through the chamber, not over speakers, but seemingly from the structure of the ship itself. "Captain Maya Rodriguez," the voice said, using her name and title with unsettling precision. "Your efforts are both impressive and futile." A holographic image formed before them. Supreme Commander Zex Terrell, its multiple arms gesturing with fluid grace. "We underestimated your species' capacity for illogical behavior," the alien admitted. "An oversight in our initial analysis. However, we are already adapting our neural architecture to accommodate your chaos patterns." Maya stepped forward, facing the hologram directly. "You call our unpredictability a weakness, but it's our greatest strength. Humans don't just adapt. We innovate. We create. We imagine possibilities that have never existed before and then make them real." "A fascinating evolutionary trait," Zex Terrell responded, "but insufficient against our technological superiority." Maya smiled. "That's where you're wrong. While we've been talking, my engineers have been integrating our disruptors into your neural network. Not to destroy it, but to connect with it." The alien's 6 eyes widened slightly, the first indication of genuine surprise. "Your neural network is now receiving direct input from human minds," Maya continued. "Not just chaos patterns, but the full spectrum of human thought and emotion. You wanted to harvest us as resources. Well, now you're getting a taste of what that really means." The crystalline structure in the center of the room began to pulse with new colors, not just the blue-green of Veridan technology, but swirls of red, yellow, purple, orange, the visual manifestation of human consciousness entering the alien system. Sexteral's hologram flickered, its movements becoming erratic. What? What is this? Your emotions. They're overwhelming our processing capacity. Fear, hope, anger, love, doubt, faith. So many contradictions, all existing simultaneously. That's humanity, Maya said simply. We contain multitudes. Throughout the ship, and then across the Veridan fleet, systems began to falter as the neural network struggled to process the influx of human consciousness. Collection ships halted mid-operation. Energy shields fluctuated. The hologram of Sexteral stabilized momentarily, its posture less arrogant than before. Your species is more complex than we understood. Our analysis was fundamentally flawed. Your mistake, Maya replied, was thinking that intelligence can be measured in only one dimension, computational efficiency. But true intelligence includes creativity, intuition, and emotional understanding. She took another step forward. Here is our proposal. Withdraw your forces. End the harvesting. Engage with humanity as equals, not as resources. In return, we'll share with you something your neural networks can't develop on their own: the ability to dream, to imagine, to create. For several long moments, the chamber was silent except for the hum of machinery and the soft breathing of Maya's team. Then Sexteral spoke, its voice different somehow, less mechanical, more nuanced. Your offer is unexpected. Our collective has never encountered a species capable of affecting our neural architecture in this manner. We require time to process these new parameters. Within hours, the Veridan ships began withdrawing from Earth's atmosphere. The harvesting ceased. Communication channels opened between human leaders and the alien command, negotiating terms for peaceful interaction. When Maya and her team returned to Earth, against all odds, alive, they were met with celebration and relief. But Maya knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had revealed its power, but also gained a new understanding of its place in a wider cosmos. In the months that followed, Earth established formal diplomatic relations with the Veridan Dominion. The aliens, profoundly changed by their exposure to human consciousness, sought to understand the chaotic, creative nature that had defeated their superior technology. They thought our emotions made us weak, Maya explained in her address to the United Nations 1 year after the invasion. They saw our disagreements, our doubts, our fears as inefficiencies to be eliminated. What they failed to understand is that these apparent weaknesses are the source of our greatest strength, our endless capacity to adapt, to question, to imagine possibilities that have never existed before. She paused, looking out at the representatives of a united Earth. The Veridan came to harvest us as resources. Instead, they discovered that humanity's greatest resource isn't our labor or our bodies. It's our minds and our hearts. They laughed at our frailty until we showed them our true strength. Behind her, on the massive screen, images showed the new Earth-Veridan cooperation projects, joint scientific ventures, cultural exchanges, and the first human delegations preparing to visit Veridan worlds not as slaves, but as honored guests. In the end, humanity's victory came not from matching the aliens' power, but from transforming it with something the Veridan had never experienced before: the beautiful, terrible, wonderful chaos of human consciousness. They had come seeking resources and found instead a partnership that would change both species forever.